Our TRAX is sponsored by Polaris, think outside. Can-Am, time for some off-road living. And by Yamaha, revs your heart.
If there's one thing I've learned over the years of being in the trail tech shop, it's that the term universal fit really is as bad as any four-letter word. And when it comes to storage solutions for your side-by-side, knowing that you've bought a product that's designed by the manufacturer of your side-by-side gives you a high level of confidence that that product is not only going to fit the first time you put it in, but it's also going to work really well for your intended purpose. And today I'm bringing you 3 different vehicles, all geared up for very different uses, but each one shares some very important hallmarks that I've come to look for when taking time to install gear on any side-by-sides that roll through our shop. Those being functionality, usability, and flexibility. Obviously, the single biggest advantages of buying products from your OE, like Polaris for these vehicles, is that you know that they're going to fit like a glove and work with the vehicle that you've purchased them for. But then on top of that, the cool thing about OE designed products like these from Polaris is that they can kind of transform in all kinds of cool and different ways. Earlier in the season, we showed you the Ranger 1000 outfitted with the versatile Rhino racks and Rhino accessories, which took our Ranger to the next level. The ability to swap, switch, move, and rotate nearly all of the add-on parts and pieces allows the Rhino-equipped Ranger to be a seriously functional side-by-side from the job site to the farm, and even just for the rec rider who likes to have ultimate flexibility, no matter what the task at hand may be. And the usability of the Rhino rack parts, well, not only are they impressively well built, they truly offer a Lego-like ability to make the racks fit or hold whatever you want and wherever you want very easily. Now, if you're someone who's focused on the hobby farm, large acreage recreational property, or just looking for something to help out around the cottage or maybe the house during the spring and fall cleanup, a vehicle like the Polaris Ranger right here has a whole lot of possibilities. And when I say mid-size Ranger, I don't mean mid-size work. With the right accessories from Polaris, I was able to transform our mid-size 570 Ranger into a fully equipped, ready-to-work or play sidekick. Most obvious on the Ranger is the addition of the front storage rack. This product offers you 100 pounds of carrying capacity, and it's the perfect spot for feed bags, garden mulch, and a few tools strapped down to boot. Now, because you may not always want to have the rack on board when going for a fun little ride, it's lock and ride, and the main basket pops off in a matter of seconds, leaving a nicely styled perimeter frame and front brush bar style housing that adds protection to the front plastics. Now, out back, I've opted for 2 products that are both lock and ride. And when it's lock and ride, it means that it's incredibly easy to install, incredibly easy to remove, and super functional. The lock and ride tip down headache rack may be one of my favorite rack accessories because it gives you such a functional tie down rack to not just secure things into the box when tipped up, but also keep them from coming through the rear roll bar and opening into the cab. It's a great option for square bales, fencing material, or even just cleaning up after a tree comes down. When the rack is in the lowered position, it offers a second level of storage, with lots of tie-down options, allowing you to place items below the rack as well as on the rack and have both fully accessible without your gear getting stacked and buried. When you link all of this with the lock and ride rear bed extender and the open tailgate portion of the box to give you an even larger space to haul gear, and because it's lock and ride, you know it's simple to install or remove depending on your needs for the day. Now, my third setup is on the brand new RZR Turbo R4. Now, this platform offers a whole lot of flexibility because it's a 4-seater chassis, but the reality is that there's really not a whole lot of onboard storage if you wanted to head out to, let's say, the cabin or go for a multi-day ride. Now, out back, I've opted to install the forward 73-quart lock and ride cargo box. It's fully sealed and gives you a cavernous space to haul your necessities, but a very functional addition to this box is the rear 42-quart box that can be used in conjunction with the other or on its own. Both these boxes give you the flexibility to mix and match depending on your needs for the trip, and both are built to the same sealed standard, making them incredibly usable for any trip. And to show just how integrated and usable accessory parts from an OE truly are, I put on the Polaris designed hinged rear spare tire carrier to show you that even with the addition of a spare tire, you can still access all your cargo boxes and the stuff that you put in them. Now, say it's just you and your significant other, or maybe you and 2 buddies heading out for the weekend. How do you get all of that storage that you want to take with you over and above what fits in the rear cargo boxes inside of this gnarly Pure Sport side-by-side? Well, after investing all of 5 minutes of your time installing some brackets, you simply remove one of the rear seat back panels and flip down the lower seat portion, allowing the addition of another 76-quart multi-passenger lock and ride cargo box to drop and lock right in. Heck, if you were just heading out with 1 passenger, you could remove the second rear seat and have 2 of these if you wanted. giving you a total of 267 quarts of sealed and secure lock and ride cargo when you add in the 2 boxes in the back. Now that's a really impressive feature, and surprisingly one that not a lot of people know about when we've run into them out on the trail. Well, until they watch this. Now if you're looking for storage solutions for your side-by-side, make sure you check out your side-by-side manufacturer, just like we did with Polaris, because the options they offer are going to work and play just as hard as you do.
Dirt Tracks is sponsored by MBRP Performance Exhaust, built for the victory lap.
We do a lot of work with MBRP here at Dirt Tracks, and we've used their exhaust systems on countless vehicles over the years. We've had Jared on our show countless times, but today we've got something very unique and different, both in the industry and for MBRP, something brand new, and it is called an active exhaust. If you're a motorhead who's into cars, you've probably read about this type of system before, but this is a first for side-by-sides, and I wanted to give you guys an opportunity to have a look at it, to hear it, see how it works, and then of course, feel how it performs. So Jared, why don't you tell us a little bit about the history of this system? Where did this idea come from, and how did it all come about?
We've always kind of tried to give the customer an option, whether you are doing performance or sport, trailer race if you're in snowmobile, but to really kind of key in this year, as our exhaust technology has evolved, we've included active systems into our automotive side. So what we have here today is our all-new Razor Active exhaust.
And this is mounted on a Pro XP, but you have this for other models as well. Will this fit on a Pro R?
This one not yet, but we are jumping into development of the Pro R here soon, so I can only imagine that that's something we're going to carry over to that platform. The X3 is also something we have this ready to go as well too.
Excellent.
So to jump into some of the details of the kit, we took off the rear shroud. The nice thing is that this will actually fit back in place.
Just like so?
Just like that.
Look at that, okay.
There you go, perfect fitment. But to kind of really show the beauty of the kit, it will pick it up right here at your 3-bolt flange.
So your head pipe is stock?
Correct, yeah. This one actually in particular in this machine is actually an MBRP head pipe you can purchase separately. You'll notice that this is a full 304 stainless kit and exiting into some really nice carbon fiber tips here as well. The cool thing is that with the laser cut brackets and everything, it utilizes the factory mounting locations, so you're not going to have to cut or weld or anything like that.
The concept of being able to have a vehicle that is darn close to stock sound for those sensitive times when you're in your neighborhood or you're driving through the main street of a town or whatever, where you want it to be a lot more manageable and a lot easier to take, not tick people off. You have that option, but then when you get out on the trail or out in the dunes or wherever you are, you want to have that awesome sound that MBRP is so well known for, but also that extra high flow performance. One button does both.
And the nice thing is, as you mentioned about the control, that the system comes with that too. So your switch, the wiring and everything too is very easy to install. When it's in normal mode, you'll notice it has a nice deeper tone, definitely over stock, but not overbearing as we talked about. And then once you jump into that aggressive or the sport mode, it is quite a bit of a difference, which is nice too. I mean, some other manufacturers you might get, it might be a finite difference. Here we've made to kind of exaggerate the fact that, it is a clear normal and sport mode.
Let's just get down here and talk a little bit about how this works, because we see I'm going to call it a butterfly valve, but you called it an exhaust valve, is right here with a baffle system that flips open and closed there. So it's actually at the exit of the exhaust.
Correct.
Explain to me how the flow pattern works with the two different sides of this.
For sure. So when you have the valve closed, it'll obviously snake through the exhaust and exit on the bottom here.
So it only exits out of one tip versus the other.
That's correct. Okay. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, and then when you actually have it open, it's rather much more free flowing through the top here as well.
That's a pretty unique way of doing it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, that's kind of something we do similar to what we do on the automotive side as well too. So we really want to make sure we get that perfect balance between sound and obviously flow as well. Ultimately performance at the end of the day. When we test this, our big thing is you don't actually need a fuel program or anything to run. So when we're measuring this in the dyno, we're measuring air fuel ratios and everything too, so it's not going to run it into a lean condition, even though we are giving it maximum flow.
What are the performance gains with this system. And I think there's more than just performance in terms of horsepower. I mean, this has to still be lighter than stock.
For sure, yeah, no, this was, I mean, obviously being a much lighter exhaust, you are going to get a bit more performance too. When we measured on the dyno, you know, we're going to give you an honest number. That's something that MBRP has always been true about. At the wheel, we're seeing like a couple extra horsepower. You know, I'm not going to tell you 5 or 10. It is a true, honest few horsepower that you're going to see at the wheel. You know, we always want to try and be that leading edge of, you know, being mindful not only the consumers that are purchasing these, but also, you know, the areas that you're riding in and giving you that option or at least that choice to make per condition. You know, where we're going to be riding today, obviously there's going to be certain areas, yeah, we can run it wide open. I mean, other areas that we're probably going to want to close it and still have that good sound, but nothing overbearing. So, you know, it's all about that power to choose.
Trail Tech is sponsored by Princess Auto. Make it work.
Every once in a while, new products hit the ground from companies that aren't currently playing in the market, but they make total sense to be here. And let me tell you, Hercules tires as well as TIS Off-Road are here in a big way, and they're here to stay. Offering 2 different wheel designs in multiple colorations, TIS, or 20 inches strong as you may know them, have expanded their TIS Off-Road line to now include 14-inch and 15-inch wheel offerings for all the most popular side-by-side bolt patterns. The 558 and 559 rims are aggressive, bold, and make a statement from the first glance. But hey, what would you expect from a company that's been knocking rim designs out of the park for what seems like most of my driving life? The rims are beautifully designed, the coloration options are awesome, but what do you wrap these new rims with? Well, the collaboration between TIS and Hercules was a marriage made in heaven. The UT1 is offered in 3 14s and 3 15-inch sizes. The UT1 is an aggressive all-terrain tire that isn't terrain specific, yet it finds a way to be capable tackling anything from sand to mud. And I know because I've tested them thoroughly. All current sizes are designed to be set up as a square kit, with 10 inches being the width of all available sizes as of our testing. This makes ordering your tires easy, but also of importance is your rotation of your tires, because we all know the rear rubber gets a bit more abuse, especially with you turbo guys. Today I've got 2 different options of rims and tires that I can run on our General 1000. Firstly, I've got the 30-inch UT1s that are mounted to the TIS rims with the cool milled logos on them. I really like this package, it looks really nice, it's glossy. But if I move up to the 32-inch tire package, it's on the other TIS rim that's really nice, but it's in matte black. Now, seeing as our General is already running 30-inch tires, I don't really want to go with the 30. I want to see what the benefit is if I go up that 2 inches. So that's what I'm going to do, and we're going to go with the matte black rim. Not only am I going to be increasing ground clearance, I'm also going to be increasing the capabilities of our General 1000 with a tire that during my last testing seriously over-delivered. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Mount up these 32s and get this thing out on the trail and tell you exactly what I'm feeling. When you're putting new rims and tires on your buggy, you've got the tires off of the vehicle, you have all this access to suspension, brakes, hubs, all this stuff. You might as well take the time to do a little in-depth investigation right now to save you time down the road. So one of the things I like to do, if you're going with a larger size tire package, make sure that your tie rods and your joints at the end of the tie rods, everything's feeling secure and strong. Now this is a brand new side-by-side. I don't really have to look into it too much, but if yours has got a few thousand miles on it, or maybe a few thousand more than that, make sure you take the time, just wiggle stuff around, get a good feel for it, move the steering, get a feel for what might be starting to wear out. If you're really concerned about things like bushings on suspension and you haven't changed those, maybe you got 5,000-10,000 miles on your buggy, make sure you're giving everything a real good move through the suspension, just at that little bumps coming in. You'll be able to feel some clicking up here at the inputs where the A-arms go into the actual chassis itself. You can feel a little bit of wear, a little bit of play. If you're at this point right now, you're better off just to go into the dealership, get the bushings, get the bearings, get the things you need, and do the work now. Because when you put that oversized tire and wheel package on, you're gonna stress all of these components a lot more than you were before. So take the time now. Other thing to do, investigate your brakes. Have a look to see if your brake pads still got lots of life left. Like I said before, this is a brand new vehicle. Brake pads are great, but have a look because you're here. It's easy to do the work when you're here. So I've installed the TIS rims and the UT1 tires. We're ready to go out and rock. I've looked over the brakes, I've looked over the suspension, the bushings, all the different things. This vehicle is ready to go out on the trail, so why don't you jump in the passenger seat and ride along with me.
Dirt Tracks has been sponsored by Hercules Tire, ride in our strength. Tire Jet, full tire protection and permanent seal. And by Mad Ramps, leave the trailer and go.
One of the things I'm noticing about the UT1 tires is that while they say online that they clear out really good, I mean, that's just all speculation until you actually get out and do it. Going over down trees and roots, these tires just have no problem getting over and clawing over stuff. These things are doing just a fantastic job. The UT1s running on rough rocks is really nice too, you know, because they're offering a nice flush ride, but they're grabbing onto the surfaces of the rocks. And so Hercules says that there's something called a balance void ratio and biting edges on the tread blocks. And it's supposed to give you confidence when you're navigating through agile kind of terrain, you know, when you're off-road in all kinds of different conditions, whether it be sand, silt, loose rocks, gravel, dirt, whatever it might be. And I'm actually finding, well, this is a lot of technical jargon that many people aren't going to really understand. I don't care what they call it, it works. These tires are impressive. So the center and intermediate tread blocks, which really, I mean, if you want to take away from that, what they're talking about is just the core of the traction. Those lugs that are down the middle of the tire, that's where the UT1's traction is really coming from. That center and intermediate tread blocking offers you the optimal bite in the most possible trail situations, whether it be out in Moab, in the sand, you know, in a river washed out area where you're ripping through the sand, or whether it be up on the slick rock, you know, here in Ontario, and then also I would say anywhere in the United States, you're gonna find really good grip from these tires there as well in the rocky, muddy, ruddy, rooty, you know, typical off-road situations. But it's really hard for an all-terrain tire to do a great job at kind of everything. I know they're called all-terrain, but many of them sort of have certain areas where they're better and certain areas where they fall behind, and I just haven't found that yet with the UT1. Hercules did a really good job with these. And now one of the neat things about the UT1 tire, got to remember, this thing's got two sides to it, and what I mean by that is then you can flip them, and one side has a certain profile, the other has a different profile, so you can kind of stylize your ride depending on what you want the shoulder of your tire to look like. That's sort of cool. So Hercules says that they've got a sophisticated scalloped shoulder lug design that incorporates elongated stone ejectors, and what that means is that these tires are built by a company who knows a lot about what they know a lot about, and that is tires. They clear out super optimally, they don't retain rocks or mud, they get rid of everything that's in the tread blocking, and the engineers who designed this tire know exactly what they're doing. So it's obvious that I'm testing these tires on a 1000cc naturally aspirated side-by-side, but the reason I wanted to do that is because I've already had time with it on a turbo Can-Am, and I wanted to try it on something that's naturally aspirated just to see how they handle with a little bit less horsepower. And I mean, the reality is probably a better part of the market is running side-by-sides that are 1000ccs and under and not turbos. So I really wanted to get a feel for it, and what I'm left with at the end of the day is that I like the ride quality, I like the grip in all situations, And I also like those features and characteristics when it comes to something that's a little lower horsepower and not as aggressive. It's a really good tire made by Hercules and in cooperation with TIS. The UT1 works really well. It's delivering everything that they said that it would and then a whole lot more. So what I'm realizing is that a tire company who builds tires for the automotive industry coming to side-by-sides and off-road really can bring a whole lot of extra potential and extra capability and extra understanding, not to mention a whole lot of engineers who have a way better knowledge when it comes to a broader terrain, broader environments and more situations. Hercules is doing a great job here, and when you go into your Hercules dealer and put your money down on these tires, you're not going to be disappointed.